Hey everybody, it's Mike Frieder here with On-Call Compliance Solutions, and I'm back with another compliance tip of the week. Today we're talking about DFARS, NIST SPA 10171, and CMMC Control MA.L2-3.7.2 provide controls on the tools, techniques, mechanisms, and personnel used to conduct system maintenance. And if this one sounds a little familiar, it's because it's very similar to 3.7.1. But we're going to dive into it. Let's go. So hey, if you're a defense contractor feeling overwhelmed, tired, and alone, maybe just a little suspicious about who last fixed your firewall settings, don't worry. You've found your home here at On-Call Compliance Solutions, where we help you become your company's on-call compliance hero. Let's jump into it. So, what does Control MA.L2-3.7.2 actually mean? Well, this control is all about maintaining control over your maintenance. You know, making sure that only authorized people are maintaining your systems. They're using approved tools and techniques, and that those tools and techniques aren't accidentally or intentionally leaving backdoors open or creating chaos. Chaos is bad. You don't just hand over the keys to your car to someone who says they're a mechanic. The same goes for your systems. Again, if your car was a very, very valuable, Rolls Royce or Bentley or something, you're not bringing it to the Toyota dealership. You're not just going to let anybody touch it. So, CMMC assessment objectives, basically what you're going to be judged on. Let's make it simple. Assessors want to see three main things here. Objective number one, you control who performs system maintenance. Technical implementation, maintain a list of authorized personnel, internal and external vendors, require some kind of screening. Okay, so again, sometimes we list background checks or vetting of those with elevated maintenance privileges. Again, technically the control does not require a criminal background check. All right, that might be a little tough to meet, let's be honest. But they definitely require screening. You need to know who it is that's in your system, even for maintenance. And then use role-based access control, or RBAC, to limit access only to those who actually need it. And oh yeah, by the way, to only the stuff that they need. You don't necessarily need a maintenance person on an IT system to have global credentials if at the end of the day, they don't need global credentials, right? If they just need a specific administrative access to certain systems. Now, documentation needed, personnel authorization list. We need to know who's authorized to do what. Access control logs, maintenance approval forms, vendor contracts, NDAs if external personnel are involved. Again, you need to be able to put hands on all of that stuff. And I would definitely recommend that you get an NDA signed with your vendors because let's be honest, they're going to get access to a lot of information. Now, pro tip, I think Bob from the warehouse knows how to update servers is not a compliant plan. Again, these people need to actually have some provable knowledge about what system they're maintaining. Hack jobs aren't going to count when you're talking about handling controlled and classified informations. Now, objective number two, you control the tools and techniques used. Not all tools are created equal. Some are safe, others are Bob's bootleg BIOS blaster version 3.0. I don't know where they come up with this stuff. But again, we want to make sure that the tools are controlled and that the tools and techniques used are safe. Technical implementation, maintain an inventory of approved maintenance tools. Require antivirus, malware scanning on USBs and portable tools. I will tell you guys, this is a big sticking point for us. You need to make sure that you know what tools are installed and running on your systems. If an assessor finds some random tool on your system somehow, and it's not in the inventory of maintenance tools, then the reality is they're going to sit there and question you about that, and they're going to say, how did this get here? Is it controlled? What's going on here? Where's the authorization in the past for this? Use company-managed utilities wherever possible. Remote tools, patch managers, etc. Documentation needed. Maintenance tool inventory list. Policy requiring scanning and control of maintenance tools. Antivirus scan logs or USB access logs. Here's a bonus point. If you're using remote maintenance software like TeamViewer, LogMeIn, or RDP, log every session and control access with MFA. Objective number three, you control the mechanisms used to perform maintenance. This one's about how maintenance is conducted. On-site, remote, through secure tunnels or open RDP ports exposed to the internet. God, I hope not. Please don't say that one. Okay. Don't. Hey, if you have RDP, I'm just like, if you're an IT guy, you and me, we're chatting right now. If you have RDP and you don't have multi-factor authentication, even internally, like moment of silence, okay? And you're out there because we find you, right? You call us for help. Here's what I'm saying, okay? If you today in 2025 do not have multi-factor authentication on every one of your servers, even local, even if it's internal, even if you think it can't be accessed from outside, even if it's only accessible from inside, and you don't have MFA on your servers and you have RDP open so you can do your management and maintenance, you need to call us, all right? Just call now. Let's have a talk, okay? Your boss doesn't have to know, but we need to get you some help, okay? And here's why. The number one way I think that I've seen ransomware get onto machines is through somebody getting control of an internal machine and they RDP brute force right in, okay? I cannot express to you how dangerous that is. It's so dangerous, I'm totally like throwing my script aside just to give this public disclaimer or what is it, public service announcement, okay? Just like I cannot explain the urgency behind fixing this one particular problem, okay? IT guys, I love you, but you're lazy, all right? And I'm not even saying you're lazy. It's just maybe you don't know how. I don't know what the explanation is. I get it. You're there to fix things and keep the system running so the fires don't consume you. And I get it. You're probably under-resourced, understaffed, whatever it may be. There's like a point where you need to go to your boss and be like, hey, listen, we need coverage. I need to take care of a critical security issue, which is that there's no MFA getting into our servers. And sorry, today's the day. If you're watching this video and you're trying to figure out this control, I'm just going to tell you, number one, you're going to fail the control. Number two, you're going to fail the MFA control. And number three, I just can't explain to you the jeopardy you're putting your business in. You guys, I'm really passionate about this, okay? Because here's the deal. When we couldn't figure out 15 years ago how we were getting, client stuff hacked and nobody knew about this stuff, this was the solution, right? This was at least a part of the solution. And so I really kind of feel like, anytime I even go anywhere near this subject, I have to talk about this because I still see it today. It's just so easy. You stand up your servers, your boss is overloading you with tickets, whatever the scenario is, I don't know, but you just for some reason think that it's okay. I'll tell you what's not okay. It's not okay to take another user request before the reality is that your servers are secure because you'll be having a lot more user requests when it gets hacked. So, little off-the-cuff diatribe, sorry, but you know what? At the end of the day, man, I'm watching out for you guys. At the end of the day, the only thing I really care about is just you guys, right? The amazing people that watch these videos and are really trying to figure this out, and they've never really had to be in a situation where their feet are held to the fire when it comes to actually following a standard for securing information. And this is how it gets done. This is the reality. So anyway, I'll get off the soapbox, but what I will say is that's a big one. It's a big one. All right, so require encrypted channels from remote maintenance, VPN, MFA, etc. Monitor and log all maintenance sessions, block unauthorized ports and protocols. Look, documentation is needed. Remote maintenance policy. You need to have a written policy explaining how remote maintenance is done if it's done, okay? Network diagrams showing secure access mechanisms, remote access sessions, logs. Pro tip, if your remote maintenance happens over Telnet, stop this video, go unplug their system, and then come back. We'll wait. Okay. Real world scenario. What did I just say? If remote maintenance happens over Telnet. Oh, I agree with that. Yeah, that's not secure. Sorry, I just want to make sure before I give that kind of advice. It's the same thing I just said, right? If your remote maintenance is happening without multi-factor authentication, dude, go unplug I don't know, whatever. You got to fix it. Real world scenario. Have I mentioned these videos are just done for entertainment purposes only? Let's just put that disclaimer out there too. Real world scenario. We had a client who allowed an outside vendor to do some quick patching. That vendor used a personal laptop connected to a server via an RDP session over an open port. Never logged the session. Later, they found malware in the environment, but no logs, no visibility, no accountability, and it was a total disaster. Don't do that. Don't have RDP open over. I mean, you know what, guys? This is one of my favorite things about Azure RDP through virtual machines. You can't be dumb with it, right? You have to go through the Microsoft control plane to even know the resource is there. It's beautiful. Look, not only was it a compliance fail, it almost cost them their whole DoD contract and maybe even their whole company. How to pass the assessment like a pro? Here's the checklist, right? Again, I have to be careful now because we're a C3PO. I am not guaranteeing that if you watch my videos, you can pass certification. So I'm just saying, here's a checklist, a general checklist that will not guarantee that you will pass CMMC certification because we follow the rules. You know who is allowed to perform maintenance on your systems. You control what tools they're allowed to use, and you define how maintenance is performed securely. You have it all documented. Yes, all caps on purpose. This includes policies. You guys can't see my script, but the word documented is all in caps. Look, if you're struggling with documentation, another reason, give us a call. We'll help you out with the documentation. This includes policies, access control settings, audit logs, inventory lists, remote maintenance session logs. If it's not written down, it didn't happen. That's compliance. That's the law. Okay, I can't make this stuff up. It literally says document. The word document, you see the word document, you're going to need a policy. Okay. Here's how on-call can help. Our virtual compliance officer service includes things like tool and access reviews, policy creation, vendor management controls, remote session monitoring and guidance. So instead of worrying about whether Dave from IT left a backdoor open again after applying that BIOS patch, you'll know your systems are secure and compliant. We can help with all those things. And hey, if you are banging your head against the wall trying to figure this out, and you're like, no way, Mike, like our maintenance people, they just need to be able to walk in the door. Here's the deal. We can help with this. We can help you really, truly get this right. At On Call, we take defense contractors who've had this DFARS, NIST, CMMC, ITAR, and EAR information security compliance stuff dropped in their, I don't know where that came from. Dropped in their laps like a seagull on a sunny day. I don't know. Let me tell you what, man. You have this thing dropped on you, and you're going to be like, where did that come from? Splat. And we teach you how to level up and be a proper on-call compliance hero for your company, eliminating gaps, gray areas, and getting this solved, all while showing you how to leverage compliance as your secret weapon to land more defense work with higher profit margins. Now that is what becoming an on-call compliance hero can do for you. And if you are looking for more help getting compliant, our compliance experts are always on call for you. Visit CMMCComplianceSecrets.com or check out the description below for links to get help right now. And if you love the content that we're putting out here for you, help us out with a big thumbs up on that like button. Better yet, smash the subscribe button to get the latest compliance content as soon as our compliance nerds roll it out. And by the way, if you see me making a lot more disclaimers in our video, the reason is because we are now an authorized CMMC third-party assessing organization. That's what it is, C3PAO. Not R2D2, but C3PAO. And so, again, I'll apologize in advance. I just want to make sure I follow the rules. And you know what? I want to make sure I also don't water down these videos. I want to make them useful. I want to make them funny. I want to make them great for you. And that's what we're doing. So, until the next compliance tip, my friends, stay safe and secure out there. Hit us in the comments below to let us know what you'd like to know more about when it comes to information security and compliance. And hey, if you think you're ready and you think you got it, hey, we can do CMMC certifications too. I'll see you on the next one.